This is the CMO and Joe podcast. We interview today's most inspiring chief marketing officers and savvy marketers of lucrative direct-to-consumer.
Welcome to the podcast, Tia.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
I'm super excited to have you on the podcast. You're a proven brand and marketing leader, team builder as well. Obviously the VP of Walker Brands and Company. But before we jump into all of that, how about you give us a little backstory and kind of Tia's origin story?
Yeah. So funny enough, I did not always know I was going to end up in marketing. My undergraduate degree was in chemical engineering. And so I had plans to be on the research and development side of things. But an internship at Procter & Gamble in research and development is where I got exposed to marketing, actually working with marketers on my project. And I came back to school my senior year, realizing that I would much more, rather work in marketing than in engineering or research and development. And so I knew then that I was going to have to go to business school to get my MBA so I could make the transition from R&D over to marketing. And that's what I did. So I got my MBA and still didn't go into marketing right away. Then I had yet another change of heart right before I graduated business school. I was like, well, let me go try something else. And I went to go work for United Technologies Corporation, which is a big industrial conglomerate. At the time they owned Otis elevators, Carrier air conditioners, Pratt & Whitney jet engines, among other things. And so I started out there in a leadership development program, finished the program, went to work in corporate communications at corporate headquarters, basically doing a lot of our corporate philanthropy. So working with nonprofits and helping build our image in the community. And then after that, so 3 years after I graduated business school, I decided I would really go back to what I thought I wanted to do, which was CPG brand management. And so that's how I ended up back in the field. By then it's 2007. And I started off as an ABM, assistant brand manager at Johnson & Johnson.
Very cool. And just to give some context to the audience, what would you say is the biggest thing Walker and Company brands do or does that maybe people aren't familiar with?
Well, it's honestly, a lot of people still are learning about our brand. So Walker & Company, founded in 2013 by Tristan Walker, really to design health and beauty products for people of color, primarily Black people. The first brand, Bevel, is a line of grooming products designed for Black men, made with Black hair and Black skin in mind. And it's really a head-to-toe solution, which people may not know. As of this year, it's expanded beyond just shaving and facial care products to be full head-to-toe, from a hair product, shampoo, conditioner, body products, your body wash, your lotions, your soaps. So head-to-toe grooming, Bevel could be your full solution for Black men. But beyond the products we make, the purpose behind Bevel is really all about supporting Black men and the Black community. And so there's a lot we do on the philanthropic side of things to really support, Black people in America, which is extremely timely given what we're facing in America right now. But, when COVID hit, we were one of the first companies to give back to one of our big consumer bases, which is barbers, and partnering with the mayor of Atlanta being our hometown, to create a fund to support those who had to close their businesses and were struggling financially. We partnered with a school in Chicago, an all boys minority school, to give these students laptops when schools closed, because it's a low income neighborhood. They would be struggling with distance learning. And we wanted to ensure that they didn't fall behind. We already know that Black students are more likely to fall behind. And so we wanted to do anything we could to prevent that. After the unfortunate murder of George Floyd and all of the rising protests around racial justice in America, a lot of companies were talking about giving money and giving money to organizations, which is great. We did that too. but we wanted to do more, something that would be tangible to the community. So we partnered with Headspace to offer free mental health services to anyone in the Black community who wanted to sign up for it. There was no catch, no strings. We just gave everyone a code. Take this over to Headspace. You can sign up for a free month of mental health services. And so we really truly believe in being a force for good in our community. And that's something that people may not be aware of, right? Because most brands, it's all about the bottom line and selling products. And absolutely, that's important to us too. But we really want to show that we care about our community, right? We are a Black founded company. Our CEO and founder is a Black man. And so we truly believe in giving back to the Black community. And so that's something that we think about and talk about all the time.
Absolutely. And yes, going back to the COVID piece, I know you're a big advocate for mental health, especially in the Black community. And you did mention all the things happening right now in the United States with the protests and obviously the pandemic. But for you personally, how have you managed to work through that, even get through it? Obviously, it's an anxiety-riddled time for everybody, but for you personally, have you been able to, I guess, stay
sane?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It didn't bother me at first because I'm an introvert by nature. I'm a homebody. And so at first it's like, oh, well, this is great. No pressure to go out and be social. Over time, it begins to wear on you. And so then to me, it's really important to have those things that ground you. I've got great, family and friend relationships. So it's constantly talking to those people. It was really ensuring that I took care of myself and created balance, because one of the things that quarantine did is it made it really easy to just be on and working all the time, right? Because you're not leaving the house, there's no commute, there's no getting dressed. So you get up, you work, and you may not even realize it, right? And you're working super late and you're not really giving yourself any time. And so one of the things I had to do was really create boundaries and give myself grace and say, I'm not going to work all the time. I'm going to start work at this time. I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to stop work at this time, to ensure that I still had, the opportunity to relax and take some time for me to do whatever I wanted to do. Maybe it was just veg out and watch TV. Maybe it was to read a book, whatever it was. Go for a walk outside, something to disconnect. One of the other things I've had to do is I've stopped watching the news. For the most part, I still read the news. So I'm one of those people, right? I like to read the paper online and all those things. But there was just so much that was, it can really overwhelm you and depress you if you don't choose to disengage. And I was one of those people who used to always was watching the news, always paying attention. But for my mental health, I had to take a break. I was like, I can't take all of the negativity that's in the news right now. So I'm going to read, because then I can be selective about which articles I read, versus being force-fed what's coming through the TV. So that was something big that I've done. But it's very much protect my peace, take the time that I need to decompress, unwind, and to, allow myself rest.
Absolutely. I love that. Protect your peace. Because I find sometimes that, the news just bombards you 24/7, and you just got to really protect your heart, protect your brain. So, but one thing I did really want to ask you about, Tia, was you mentioned work from home. It's easy to just put your pajamas on and just go to work. But obviously you're a big leadership builder. So I'm just curious, how have you managed to adapt to the work from home lifestyle? I know you on LinkedIn, you mentioned leadership's a second full-time position, but for you personally, how have you been able to manage?
Yeah, it hasn't been as bad as I thought it would be, or as difficult. For me, the big thing is constantly checking in with my team. We always had weekly one-on-ones, and I've always been ruthless about keeping those on the calendar. They may have to shift if something comes up, but always keeping the weekly one-on-ones. And then we've always got digital tools, like we use Slack within our organization. So, being able to easily message and check in with people, constantly asking my team how they're doing, how they're feeling about their workload, how they're feeling about their work-life balance. And so it's really just been staying in constant communication digitally. And it's funny, like for the first several months, like I didn't usually turn my camera on because I wasn't dressed, my hair wasn't done, I couldn't go to the salon, look at my, this is not for public consumption, right? Lately, I've tried to get a little bit better about cutting it on, just so, they can see and we can, they can feel a little more interaction. But it's not something I mandate, but it's like, hey, I'm going to turn my camera on today just so you can see that I really am engaged. Like I'm listening to you. I'm not multitasking. But yeah, it's just constant communication, right? So you can't just drop by someone's desk or anything like that anymore. So it's slacking, or sending an email or texting, and just ensuring that the team is fully engaged and that they know that I'm still fully engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that engagement piece is super important because it's so easy to just multitask, be on your phone, and also take a conference call as well. But no, that's super important. I'm curious, what would you say your unique skill has been as a marketer, even that's helped you along your business career?
Yeah, I love to tell people my superpower is building relationships, and this whole idea of collaboration and building a coalition. And I know that's probably one of the number one things that's helped me be successful, because anyone can have the skills of a marketer and do the work. Like that's par for the course. But so much of what I do, and you have to do, especially as you move up, is influence people and get people on board with what you're doing. And so because I have spent time in every organization really building relationships with all of my key stakeholders and cross-functional partners, it's a lot easier for me to get things done. People want to work with me, they want to help me, they want to help us win. And so that's what enables that flawless execution. People are like, Tia, man, you get things done. But like, it's not like I'm in a vacuum by myself. I'm just really, really good at bringing people along on the journey and motivating them to want to support me. So that's been my superpower, 100%. And is being able to come in, build relationships with all the key people so that people want to work with me. And I know for a fact that I wouldn't have been as successful as I was if I hadn't been able to do that, right? That's internal cross-functional partners. That's people on my team who work for me. That's agency partners. It really runs across the board, but that's definitely my superpower.
Absolutely. One thing I do always run across, just speaking with peers and other entrepreneurs, is the topic of imposter syndrome. So as you go up, I guess in job title or even up through your business, how have you been able to manage that imposter syndrome?
I just wrote a post about this on LinkedIn, maybe like 2 weeks ago, if that, maybe not even that long ago. And so I love this question so much. To be clear, it has not gone away for me. So people will say like, oh, you seem so confident. I was like, oh yeah, I believe in faking it till you make it. But there are so many times where you sit in the room, especially before this current position, where now I'm at a really minority company. So most of the people there look like me. But when you're in your big corporations and you're the only person that looks like you at the table, or you're the youngest person at the table, it can be really intimidating. But I always just remind myself, like, no, I deserve to be here. I've earned the right to be here, right? I've got the credentials, I've got the experience and I've got the ideas, right? So they hired me for a reason. So I know I'm capable. Clearly they know I'm capable. They wouldn't have given me this job. Let me just do what I know how to do. And it's, like I said, it's a constant, reminder. And it's definitely, I will say, it definitely gets easier, or it's gotten easier for me as I've gotten older because I remain confident in my abilities. But there are always those moments where you start to feel that, like, what am I doing here? Do I deserve it, to be in this room? And you just got to remind yourself, like, yeah, you deserve to be here. You've earned this right. So, but I love that you asked that question. It's something that I know so many women, so many minorities face in terms of, man, do I really belong here?
Absolutely. I think that's an important topic to talk about as well. But speaking about your capabilities, you're obviously a super talented marketer. So I'm curious, what kind of campaigns have been the most successful for you in your career?
Um, I've been fortunate to work on a lot of really great campaigns and, big launches and campaigns with really big budgets, campaigns with small budgets. And I think the ones that I get most excited about are those that were really based off of a unique consumer insight and that really brought the brand to life in a really unexpected or different way to really break through. One of the ones, and we did this campaign 2 years in a row when I was on Pop-Tarts. And the target audience for Pop-Tarts is teenagers and young adults, right? So from middle school up through your college students. And our bullseye was really like that high school, senior, college, freshman. And so we spent a lot of time really digging into who this consumer is and what do they care about and how do we appeal to them, right? Because you think about that audience, and that's now what you would call Gen Z, is they're finicky, right? They know what they want, they know what they think is cool, and if you don't fall into that bucket, forget it. And so, and you can't be seen as trying too hard or anything like that. So we spent so much time with consumers trying to learn and understand, what do they value? What are they passionate about? And one of those things was music, right? And that sort of crossed the boundaries, no matter what age you were within that bucket, no matter whether you were a girl or a boy, whether you were, minority or not minority, music really, resonated to you, right? Resonated with you, and was sort of like so critical to your life. So it was like, okay, well, what can we do in the music space to add value, something that these kids would appreciate? And so we had partnered, the brand had partnered with Live Nation in the past to put on like concerts with pop stars. But when I joined the brand, we wanted to take it a step further beyond just a concert where, sure, you'll reach a few thousand kids, right, that can actually go to the concert in whatever city you pick. What's something that can have broader scale? It's like, well, music content, right? So we partnered that first year with some pop stars at the time, Jessie J, Janae Aiko, and a boy group out of London called Rixton. And we brought them together and we had them make a song. DJ Mustard produced it. And we filmed this whole process of in the studio, these artists who different genres, pop, R&B, they've never worked together, and filmed them coming together to make this song. We released this as content online and the final product, the final song. And it was really, really successful. So much so that the following year, we're like, okay, what else can we do? And so we partnered with some more artists. We partnered with Neo and DNCE, which was really, they had just come out with their song Cake by the Ocean. It was, that was the song of the summer that year. Keke Palmer and some others. And we brought artists together to do mashups, right? So, okay, now we're going to have DNCE sing a Neo song, and Neo, you're going to sing one of their songs. And, we're going to film this content, this mashup of these artists coming together. And that campaign actually ended up winning an award. We won a bronze Effie for it, which was my first marketing award. I was super excited, but it just really shows that when you really understand your consumer and you dig into what matters to them, you can really create something that will resonate and have a positive impact on the business, right? Both of those campaigns were successful, not just driving a lot of buzz and getting media attention, but actually driving the business and driving more people to buy Pop-Tarts.
Absolutely. Yeah, having that engaging and also authenticity, I find helps brands really engage with their customers. What piece of advice, obviously we have lots of marketers or even business owners listening, but what piece of advice would you give somebody wanting to launch a brand or even scale it to a point where, I guess, consumers are raving about?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to launch a brand, the first thing you've really got to do is understand who this is for, right? Understanding your target consumer is the most important thing you can do, because otherwise you could be making something that no one needs, right? And so anything that you are looking to launch or offer to consumers should be something that's going to meet a consumer need, and meet it in a way that other products and brands aren't, or where there is nothing currently in that space, right? So you found a white space opportunity. So that's the first thing. Is this something that is going to be useful and something that my consumer needs? And then understand everything about that consumer, so then you know how to position it, right? Because this could be something great that, oh my gosh, yes, they absolutely need this. But if you don't know how to talk to them about it, they're not going to understand, right? And so they're not going to see the value. So understanding how do you position this brand in a way that they are open to trying it and learning about it and, all of that. So to me, it always boils back down to the consumer. What do they need? What are they missing, and how can I deliver against that? And then how much do I understand about that person so that I can talk to them in a way that they will be receptive to my message. That's key. Like those are the foundational number one things that you have to do. Everything else you can figure out on the way. I don't think you necessarily have a huge marketing budget to launch something. So it's not about spending a ton of money in advertising. Nope, that has nothing to do with it. Obviously, you want to ensure that the product is available so that, whether it's distribution in store or online, somewhere that it's easily accessible, right? So that's the sort of the foundation. But the first thing you're going to do is you've got to fully understand your target consumer. What do they need, and how does my product meet that need better than anything else that they could find?
Absolutely. On that note, has there been any marketers, even brands that you've really admired that really meet that kind of criteria that you can share?
Oh, good question. I'd say that there are a lot of brands that have done this successfully over the years, right? Where they've created a new category, or, launched something that people would have never necessarily thought about before, but then, the way that they've positioned it, like, oh, wow, now I need to have it. One sort of random category that comes to mind is like the alternative milks, right? With like your nut milks and your almond milks. Like there have been some brands that have been super successful in this space by telling the story of, here's why you should be drinking these alternative milks as opposed to regular dairy milk. I love brands that do that, right? In that instance, it's something that people may not have really been thinking about on a broad scale. Now it's everywhere, right? You saw the same thing when Greek yogurts came out. It's like, yeah, I was always eating regular Greek yogurt. What's this? Why do I need to have this? Right? And then that surpassed and became the bigger part of the category. So clearly I'm talking about food. I must be hungry.
Is it lunchtime?
No, it's not. I don't know why I keep talking about food rent. But I think, I was trying to avoid some of the obvious, like people always bring up a lot of the obvious brands that do it well. And I'm not even going to mention like some of the tech brands and things like that. Obviously they have. But to me, it's just being able to successfully, identify a trend and an opening in the marketplace. And I think, on the opposite end, you see brands that have failed because they didn't, innovate or keep up with, the trends, or understand that their consumer was moving in this direction and your brand is going over here. You're going to lose, right? And that's when you see brands fail or businesses lose, like a Kmart goes out of it, right? Kmart, forget Walmart. Kmart was it. If you go back a few decades, right? They were the big ones. And they did not keep up with where the consumer was headed, and then they lost out. So that's where it all always boils back down to the consumer and being super on the pulse of where things are going so that you can evolve and go with them.
No, absolutely. Just want to quickly switch gears. I actually came across one of your posts on LinkedIn. I found it really profound. I'm going to just quickly read it here so I don't forget. But you said the best career advice you've ever gotten was don't attach yourself to a company, a place, or a thing, but attach yourself to a mission, a calling, or a purpose, which I found really amazing. So I want to ask you, what's Tia's purpose?
Oh, yeah. And that's so funny, right? That's a question that no one ever asked me. And I wish that they did. because people get so focused on just like, oh, the career journey and moving up the ladder and all that, but like purpose, like my purpose in life is to help as many people as I possibly can, right? I recognize I've been very blessed throughout my whole life, right? From growing up, I have a wonderful family, wonderful parents who motivated and inspired me and supported me on my journey. I've been very successful in my career. And so I'm always about giving back, right? I'm about mentoring the younger generation coming up behind me. So I do that. I have a ton of little mentees. I believe in giving back through community service, constantly volunteering with various organizations. Right now, the main one that I'm involved with is Big Brothers Big Sisters Atlanta. So that's my purpose, is just to help others and give back as much as I possibly can. I feel like that's why I'm here. I am not here, to make a lot of money and get all these jobs. Like, that's great. Yes, I do want to do those things, but I want to do those things because it allows me to help more people. And so that is my purpose. My purpose is to live a life that was giving to others. And so when people talk about me when I'm gone, that's what they'll say. They'll say Tia was always giving back and was always helpful to others.
Absolutely. No, I love that. What would you say is the proudest thing you've done that maybe we haven't touched on the interview today?
That's a tough one. Because it's not something that I really sit and think about in terms of like, what am I most proud of? I think I am proud of the fact that I haven't changed, right? I'm the same person now that I was however many years ago. We're not gonna, but the point being that, as I've matured, as I've advanced in my career, as I've moved up the ladder, I'm the same person, right? And I tell people that I'm not intimidating. I'm very honest. I'm very, relaxed. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy sharing what I've learned. And so I guess that's maybe the thing that I'm most proud of, is that I've been able to stay true to myself. Even in corporate America, where some people say it changes you, I have not let it change me. If anything, I'm doing everything I can to change it, to change the culture of America, to make it easier for people that look like me to succeed. So yeah, that's what I'll say I'm most proud of.
Awesome. No, I have to definitely agree. You're a pleasure to talk to, and I really enjoy our conversation. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, one thing I did want to ask was, what sort of resources have really helped you along the way through your path and journey?
Ooh, it's always important to have mentors, people that you can go to for advice and talk to. Like, that is something I've had my entire life. Even going back to being younger, like my parents were my first mentors, helping me navigate my career. And then as you move along, whether it was professors or other people I've worked with, and even now, right, it's people who are up here and I aspire to get up there. So mentors, huge resource, something I think that everyone should have. I'm big into networking organizations, especially like from a marketing side, whether it's things like Brand Innovators or ANA, the Association of National Advertisers, constantly going to these events and learning from other marketers and hearing them speak. And like, to me, that's invaluable. And you should, take advantage of that as much as possible. It's all virtual now. A lot of it is free now because of the fact that it's virtual. So those are great resources to just sort of stay up to date on what's happening in the industry and trends, and, to stay fresh as a marketer. That's, to me, definitely a critical resource. And, there are books on marketing. I've read some. I'll be honest, like, I read a lot, but more so fiction. Like, reading is an escape for me. But books like How Brands Grow, which are kind of like fundamental to marketing and thinking about how do you grow a business, is one that I still refer back to. But yeah, for me, it's people. To me, people are the best resources, and that's where I can learn the most, is from talking and engaging with other people.
Absolutely. I have to agree. It's what's the saying? It's who you know or who knows you.
Yeah, it
One
is.
of them. But yeah, it's interesting to say mentors. That's another topic I always have conversations with peers and other business folk as well. But from your perspective, how do you find that mentor that really helps guide you, and what sort of things do you go about doing to actually find somebody like that?
Yeah, and it varies. In some instances, I found them via companies I was working in, and I would see a leader who I really admired and respected, and so it would just be asking them. you know, and most times people are going to say yes. They're usually flattered, and then it's on you as the mentee to help maintain that relationship. So that's one way I found them, via companies. Um, People have found me on LinkedIn. I've gotten cold calls or cold emails from just, young marketers, and they've seen my post or seen me speak somewhere, and reached out and asked if I'd be willing to talk to them for a bit. I always say yes. Um, so it can happen just about anywhere. And it's all about, what are the steps that you take to go about, pursuing that mentor. So whether it's finding them on LinkedIn, whether it's someone you work with and sending them a note. And I've just been very fortunate in that regard, that I've worked with some great people over the years, or been introduced to some great people over the years via my network. And I've been able to find mentors that way.
Absolutely. One thing I always love to ask my guests are, what sort of media networks are you really, I guess, are your favorites, if you will?
Yeah, I am a social media, I won't say a junkie because I'm not on everything, but there's really only three social media networks that I'm on, and I'm on them every day. And that is Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Every single day. I am on those platforms. LinkedIn one is a great one. And I would say it's really just been during quarantine where I've been more active on there. Prior to that, yes, Facebook and Instagram, which are more so keeping in touch, connected with friends, or to find memes to laugh at. But LinkedIn, I've really been enjoying lately, as you read through like just the posts that people make talking about their career, or keeping up on, the news and the different companies that I'm interested in, or the industries that I follow. And I've realized like I'm learning a lot about people who I'm connected to, or even finding other people to connect to. Because what I love about LinkedIn is it'll show you something that someone has either liked or commented on. So then I read and comment, and so I'm making other connections that way. And so that's been really, really great. And really using it as a channel to help build my brands. Like you said, like I've been posting a lot more frequently. You've seen some of those. I only post when I actually have something to say. So it is not every day, and I'm not posting just to get attention, but it's posting if, I've been thinking about something and I was like, oh, this is interesting to me. I'm going to share this now. So I've been posting a lot more frequently on LinkedIn than I have in the past. But yeah, that's me. More often than not, I'm a lurker on social on Facebook, Instagram. I rarely post. I might share something, especially now. Like there's just so much in the news as it relates to elections and what's going on in the world. I may share those types of content, but like individually posting something, I don't really do that much on social media, except for LinkedIn now.
Okay, you're not posting any TikTok dances
I am
recently?
not on TikTok. I think I'm too old. I never got with Snapchat. I just never understood it. I think, again, it was too old. TikTok, no. Pinterest, I don't get it. So Twitter, if somebody sends me a tweet, something interesting is going on, then I'll read. But like, I'm not active on any of those channels.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Only a few more questions here for you, Tia. One thing I'm curious is to know what you're curious about right now. Could be personally, could be professionally, but what's something Tia's really
I am really curious about what the world is going to look like when we get on the other side of COVID. And I'm curious about the world overall, and I'm curious about what it means from a corporate America and marketing standpoint, right? Because you're seeing how so much has changed, and we've evolved how we work. We've evolved how we interact with people. We've evolved how we consume content and the type of content. And I'm just curious, like, will that continue post-COVID? Will it go away? You're seeing all these companies now roll out work from home permanently policies. Is that going to broaden? Are you going to see even more companies do that? Or no, people are going to go back to the way it was? Marketers really had to pivot when this happened, especially at first when things like sports went away and a lot of the big TV things that you were advertising on went away, and people were thinking differently about how do you reach consumers. Couldn't do experiential activation. That was a huge part of my marketing plan this year, events and sampling. And so it really forces you to innovate, which is awesome. And so I'm just curious what will look like, a year from now, hopefully when this is but a distant memory, I hope, what has changed indefinitely and what has reverted back.
Absolutely. Trying to find that new normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you mentioned experiential marketing. So just hypothetically, let's say I gave you 50% more budget. What sort of things would you invest that into to kind of get that ROI back?
Right now, and see this, my answer would change depending on where I was working, what position the brand was in, how much budget I already had. I'm at a smaller company now with smaller budgets compared to when I was at larger companies with really huge budgets. And so, I think if I had 50% more money, some of it is just going to get invested into the channels that I'm already in, that I know work and are proven, and that I'm frankly just not fully sufficient because, hey, I need more money. So I would invest more, in our paid social, in our online video, all of those kinds, paid search, all of those standard things. But for me, I always believe that you should spend at least 10% of your budget learning by trying new things. So, part of that would go into testing new channels that we're not currently playing in, whatever they may be. And again, it ties back to who your consumer is and what they're passionate about. So new channels that we've not played in, or new channels that are just coming on the map that no one has really played in, and sort of being first to try those out. My target now is Black men, as I said. So when you think about Black men, they're thinking about sports, they're into gaming and all these types of things. So how can we play in these areas in a bigger way? Experiential, obviously not now because of COVID, but if we weren't in a COVID world, absolutely, because I do think being able to have those one-on-one, face-to-face interactions with consumers is really valuable, especially in a young brand that you're still trying to, make that connection to the consumer. That would be one that I would invest in if we weren't in a COVID world. But yeah, the bulk of it would go towards proven, tested channels and just ramping that up. And then, like I said, at least 10%, maybe 20 would go to testing new things that we haven't done before. Absolutely.
I mean, the time's flown by. I mean, it's such a pleasure to talk to. But I only have a couple more questions here for you, Tia. Where can our listeners connect with you online?
Well, my Instagram is public, but again, I don't post a ton there. LinkedIn is what I recommend. Feel free to connect with me, shoot me a message if you found value in anything I've said or shared or posted, or you have a question. I love engaging with people. Give me a little bit of time. Sometimes I get inundated, but I will respond. So yeah, LinkedIn or Instagram. You can find me, my Tia Cummings, just like my name says. So I haven't found another one with my name. It should be easy to find me.
You're unique. Yeah, no, I really appreciate you being on the podcast. Since this is a brand and marketing podcast, I like to end it with the guest saying a word or phrase that really describes their brand. So my last question to you, Tia, is what's one word or phrase to describe Tia Cummings' brand?
Oh, I hate this word because it's so overused. But it's authentic. Going back to what we talked about, right? So it's definitely part of it is authentic, because what you see is what you get with me. I'm consistent. And then it's this whole idea of, I think maybe servant leadership, because that's how it goes back to helping other people And by helping other people, they help you. That whole relationship piece is how I've been able to be so successful. So I think it's this sort of authentic servant leadership, is really who I am and how I'm able to, deliver and accomplish so much.
This episode of the CMO and Joe podcast has ended, but be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to help you create the profitable and successful business you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. See you on the next episode.